presentation. And can everyone hear me properly?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So I'll begin by offering my obeisances to all the Vaishnavas and all people who are attending here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaham. I also thank our dear Simheshwar Prabhu for giving me this opportunity. In the morning, we were at the temple, and actually, I didn't realize what he's asking me because he's wearing a mask, and because I'm aging, my hearing is getting to be a little dull. So what I heard is, I thought is that, Prabhuji, are you joining Bhagavad Gita class this morning? I said, yeah, sure. But actually, he was asking me to give class. And then later on, he sends regularly the notice. And then I saw my name over there, and then I said, oh, that's what he was asking me. But very good. This is how, when they say God works in mysterious ways, my realization from this is that, of course, for the class we prepare, but you really need to be involved with the subject matter. It's something like a soldier when he's at war, and when the soldier is asleep, in his tent, they hardly have any facilities to sleep or whatever. But whenever he just gets his eyes closed, and then the call comes, battle, they just get up and they run. They're trained. So, Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? Maya. Maya, we're trying to get out of Maya. Maya has us in our clutches. Illusion has us in our clutches. And we are like soldiers, fighting all the agents of Maya. So we have to be ready anytime, not just in terms of doing pravachan or doing a class, but in any activity of us, we have to be ready. So today's class is on text 25, shloka 25, chapter 3. Chapter 3 we've been covering, and there have been so many speakers ahead of me who have spoken. It's basically karma yoga, the karma ladder, as it has been nicely explained, how it starts from the base level. And the purpose of yoga is union, as you know. And union with whom? Union of our consciousness with the super consciousness, union of the jiva with the Bhagavan. And there are gradations. Gradually, from a certain level of consciousness, you come to the karma yoga, the karma kand. From karma kand, you get into the other activities of sakam, then nishkam, and then there is finally the topmost stage, which is called bhakti, which is loving devotion and service to Krishna. So that's what the yoga ladder is. So that's the entire chapter. And then we look at specifically text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Saktah karmani avidvamsho yatha kurvanti bharatah kuryad vidvams tatha shaktash चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम् सप्ताह कर्माणि अविद्वंसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्यात् विद्वांस्तथा शक्तस् चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Would anyone like to try chanting the verse?
Sakta karmani. Is that me echoed?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. Sakta karmani avidvamso.
Shakta karmani avidvamso.
Yada kurvanti bharata.
Yada kurvanti
Yada
bharata.
kurvanti bharata.
Kuryad vidvams tatha shaktas.
Kuryat vidvams tatha shaktash.
Chikirsur loka sangraham.
Chikirshir loka sangraham. Thank you, Puneet Prabhu. Anybody else? Any Mataji? Don't worry about the pronunciation.
Sakta karmani avidvamso
कर्माणि
कर्माणि
विद्वांसो
अविद्वांसो
याथा कुर्वन्ति भारत
यथा
कुर्वन्ति
कुर्वन्ति
भारत
कुर्याद् विद्वांस तथा सक्तास्
कुर्याद् विद्वांस्तथा शक्ताः
चिक्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्
लोकसंग्रहम्
चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Synonyms.
सक्ता
Oh, please go ahead.
कर्माणि
Yes,
सक्ता
Mataji.
ओके सक्ता कर्माणि अविद्वांसो
सक्ता कर्माणि
विद्वांसो
यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत
यथा
यथा
कुर्वन्ति
कुर्वन्ति
भारत
भारत
कुर्याद् विद्वांस तत्सक्तास्
कुर्याद् विद्वांस्तथा सक्ताः
चिकित्सुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्
चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Anybody else would like to try?
सक्ता कर्मा विद्वांसो
Shaktah
कर्माणि
कर्माणि
अविद्वांसो
विद्वांसो
यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत
यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत
कुर्याद् विद्वांस तथा सक्ताः
कुर्याद् विद्वांस्तथा शक्ताः
चिक्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्
चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Thank you very much. Who was the last? It was a child, I believe, who chanted the verse. Who's the child? What's the name?
It was Dhairya.
Huh?
It was Dhairya, Gaurika Mata.
Dhairya. Wonderful, Dhairya. You said it wonderfully. Thank you so much.
Thank
So now we'll read the synonyms, translations, and purport. Saktaha, being attached, karmani, and prescribed duties, avidvamsaha, the ignorant, yatha, as much as, kurvanti, they do, bharata, O descendant of Bharata, kuryat, must do, vidvan, the learned, tatha, thus, asaktaha, without attachment, chikirshuha, desiring to lead, loka sangraham, people in general. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to the development of Krishna consciousness. So this sentences highlighted in red and bold. Focus on that. That's what the topic today is going to be centered on. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant person who is too much attached to material activities, but one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupadai Krishna Preshthai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. So let's understand what this shloka is telling us. So what I have prepared is, of course, based on the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, his disciples, and so many Vaishnavas in our Sanghas, attending programs like this, pravachans in the temple, personal experiences in trying to practice sadhana, bhakti, Krishna consciousness. So based on that, this is the presentation I humbly present for your understanding. And of course, any questions that you have, if there are any comments or any corrections, please, at the end of the presentation, we'll have a separate section. We could discuss that. So what are the main points that we gather from this particular shloka? And then how can we apply it in our life? So the main point number one is we need to have an understanding of what are desires, how it is caused, and what is its effect. So desires. Next is Krishna consciousness. Of course, there are many of us here who are practicing Krishna consciousness. Actually, every person in some form or the other is practicing Krishna consciousness. It's not just that someone who's in ISKCON only is practicing Krishna consciousness. No, actually, every living entity is a part and parcel of God. One of his names is Krishna. And being so connected with God, there are different manners in which that connection is established. Of course, some people are doing it knowingly with that full consciousness and realization, and some people are doing it unknowingly. So we'll examine Krishna consciousness, what it is and why is it necessary. And then finally, leading by example, attributes of a leader. In some sense, every one of us is a leader. Usually we think of a leader as a very charismatic person, male or female, who's a subject matter expert in their field, someone in a position of authority, someone who has a lot of responsibilities, and so on and so forth. But yes, all those attributes are there of a leader, but there are something which is much more and much higher, from which all these attributes are derived. So how a person could lead by examples, there would be parents on this Sangha, and there are children from newborn, and they become a little bigger, then they get to their teen years, then they grow older, then they get married and have children of their own. So the role of a parent as a leader, how it evolves, how we as human beings also evolve. And every parent would know that it is always by example. Children and everybody follows based on examples. You could speak till the cows come home. How many times you have to tell your child, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, correct? However, if your room itself, your bedroom is dirty, no matter how much you tell the child, it's not going to work. So leading by example. Then the application to life is self-control, how to regulate thoughts, words, and deeds. Sadhana bhakti, Krishna consciousness, what we're doing. What is the goal? How do you practice it, and how do you progress in sadhana bhakti? And then finally, acharya. Acharya is someone who leads by example, how to inspire the self, ourselves, and how it is possible to inspire others. So we'll understand these main points. Let's look at what is desires. Desires, every one of us has desires. Every living entity has desires. You cannot be desireless. It is impossible. Just like the mind cannot be thoughtless, correct? The consciousness cannot be desireless. So let's understand what is desire. So a little bit, stepping a little back, is we are soul, correct? Though we identify with the body, we are the spirit soul, Atma. And few quick attributes of the Atma. Atma is the active principle. It isn't inert. Matter is inert, the soul is active. So it's the active principle, the life force, soul is active, it isn't dull. And it is Anandamaya Abhyas. It is an happy entity. it is full of bliss. It is Anandamaya Abhyas, and it is seeking, pursuit of happiness. If you look, whatever we're doing is we're trying to improve our status quo. We're trying to be happy. Why? Because that's who we are. That's who we are. Correct? So Anandamaya Abhyas. And then there are these three attributes, Sat, Chit, and Anand. So you know this already, it's just a little revision. So if we understand this particular aspect, we can then see how desires come about. Okay. Also keep in mind, anyone can desire however he likes. That's the independence given by God, given by Krishna. That's the independence. He won't interfere with it. However, to fulfill that desire, the Supreme Lord does it. So anyone can have a desire, and no matter whatever be that desire, that sanctioning of that desire is given by the Supreme Lord. On your own, nothing is possible. So that's what, even when a person who has turned his face away from Krishna, even he has desires, and even those desires are fulfilled. There's a whole different subject matter onto how it happens. There's the component of mercy and so on and so forth. But just to understand desires, understand the soul, it is active, it is Anandamaya Abhyas, then it is Sat Chit Anand. Okay, then what are your desires? There is a sociologist very famous called Stephen Rees, R-I-E-S, and he conducted thousands and thousands of experiments, interviews with male, female, different backgrounds. And finally, he encapsulated it into 16 main areas of what desires are. These desires fall into any of these 16 headings over here. It could be independence, self-reliance, family. So desires related, again, trying to improve your status quo. All these things is you're trying to improve. Currently, I'm in this position. I want to get something better. Okay, whatever it is. Now, most of these desires are material. It is bodily based, something to make the body comfortable. And body, we mean the gross body, the physical body, and also the subtle body of the mind, intelligence, and the ego, correct? The false ego. So eating, the physical activities, the status we want to have in society, social contact, having contact with people, neighbors, friends, relatives. We'd like to have order. Everything should be orderly. Chaos is something which naturally we stay away from. Social justice and so on and so forth. Even vengeance is over here. One of the desires is driven by vengeance. So these are all material desires, 16 of them there are. So whatever desire comes would fit into one of these buckets over here. Okay. So if we look at desire, it's something which is like red hot, it's burning. Okay. We have all these wants and all the needs that come up from the desire. So the desire comes up. Okay. And then from these desires, you have the needs and the want. So actually want is nothing but a means of fulfilling a need. So someone says, oh, I want this, I want that, I want a better car, I want a better house, I want a better job. But underlying that, there is a need. And that is the need which is driving the want, and underneath the need is that desire which is coming, and that desire is you're trying to improve your status quo. Okay. I used to read a lot, and then of course coming into Hare Krishna, reading the scriptures that expanded the boundaries of my thinking, so to say, and it brought a whole new perspective. And even before, I used to have this, what makes people the way they are. And here there is a saying, even a king is beggarly. A king will be very miserly. He'll be able to do anything. And the beggar is kingly. He'll have plans of grandiose, correct? In his desire to lord it over the material nature. So all of us are trying to lord it over the material nature. That's why we are in the material world. There's an opportunity for us to do it. So that basic function of wanting to lord it over the material nature, and we'll go to any extent. Either we'll have great grand plans or we'll be extremely miserly, no matter who you are, whether you're a king or a beggar, to get this lorded over the material desire. Okay, so what are desires? Okay, desires, these all 16 things, Srila Prabhupada brought it into very concise. Everything will now from 16, he winnowed it down into the desires will be driven By eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Every living entity. Now, here it spoke about human beings have those 16, correct, material desires. But if you bring it down to every living entity, it is eating, sleeping, mating, defending. The only difference between a human being and an animal, Prabhupada says, is a dog will mate on the road, a human being will do it in the privacy of his bedroom. So it's just a level of sophistication. And whatever we are doing is we're trying to do it more and more better. We're trying to better the situation. So sleeping, if there's too much of stress, okay, we've used the intellect, okay, fine, here are sleeping pills. For defending, trillions and trillions of dollars we're spending. We have nuclear arms in the world which could blow up a planet which are 100 times the size of the planet, but still we're trying to defend. Eating. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Whatever desires, it comes down to these four major activities, and it's not just human beings. It's a dog, it's a little ant, it's the elephant, it is the human being, a poor man, rich man, American, Indian, whoever it is. It'll circle around these four. So keep this in mind, correct? Dog runs on four legs, man runs on four wheels. Again, Prabhupada's quotes. There's deep wisdom in this if you actually sit to think back and how it is, and you can identify, yes, this is what our situation is. Now, these desires could either have two effects. It could incarcerate you or it could liberate you. Incarcerate means it could capture you and put you into a prison. This Maya is a prison. Illusion, the material world, the illusion, that I am the Lord of everything. I am the Lord of my family. I am the Lord of my community. I am the Lord. That sense of ownership, correct? I, me, myself, mine. So if all your activities are driven by I, me, myself and extensions thereof, then it is incarcerating because that is called karma. You have to perform activities. Activities are, ways of fulfilling your desires, wants, and needs. So if the purpose, if the intent, if the beneficiary is I, me, myself, mine, and extensions thereof, then there is the karmic reaction. If there are good activities, you have to take birth again to enjoy the fruits of that result. If there are bad activities, then you have to again take birth to suffer the fruits of that bad activity. So it is an incarceration. That's what your activity, your desires could lead to, or it could liberate you. That process of liberation is called Krishna consciousness or bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is basically, sadhana is a practice, bhakti, and there is a regulated way in which you do it. Goal is to develop, reawaken that love which is lying dormant, the love for God. You can't teach anyone to love. It is a spontaneous, but currently because of our conditioning, because of the illusion that we are in, correct, we have forgotten that. So there are certain steps of how, think of it like we are asleep, in a deep sleep, in a coma, our consciousness, the real consciousness. There is another material consciousness which has covered the soul, correct, and the soul is identifying itself with the body. So to remove all those layers of misconception, that process, so there is a methodical manner in which you go about doing it, and once you get over there, then it is spontaneous, then it's called raga nuga bhakti. Okay, so that is that liberation. And how does it work? It's simple. Whatever activities are there, okay, make Krishna the center instead of I, me, myself in the center of all activities. Where Krishna becomes the center of activity, then that becomes a liberating. There is no circle of birth and death. Things will happen. COVID is there for everyone, whether the person is a karmi or whether the person is a bhakta. COVID affects everybody. But that reaction, how we react to the stimuli which comes from the environment, is completely different. So incarcerate or liberate, that's what the desire can do. And it is our choice how we want to go about doing it. So what is Krishna consciousness? I like this little quote of Srila Prabhupada. It very nicely sums up what is Krishna consciousness. To think of Krishna, what is the difficulty? We have all the thinking power. Our mind is never vacant. We are always thinking of something, correct? We are always thinking of something. Even when we are asleep, we are thinking of something. So much so, even people who are in coma, there is still brain activity which is thinking, and they are conscious. Even people who go and get into coma, they are conscious. They are aware of what is being said in the room. Okay, we can think of something always 24 hours. That is the mind's nature. So if you simply think of Krishna, then your life becomes successful. So just thinking about God, that act can become an act of devotion called bhakti. Okay, so let's examine Krishna consciousness a little more. Okay, it brings one into spiritual life even when one is in the jurisdiction of matter. Matter is Maya. For it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice. Remember, I told you it's like waking the person up, waking that consciousness up by practice. Correct? Now, mothers will know that when children are young, they sleep and they get deep sleep and they're getting late for school. So they'll say, Arey, Bablu, utho, utho, get up, get up, get up. You know, the child is still fast asleep. Then the mom has to go in the bedroom and physically shake the person, and then okay, he gets up. Correct? Now similarly, it is an arousing of the spiritual existence. There is a material existence and there is a spiritual existence. Correct? That spiritual entity, the Atma, is trapped in this material existence over here. So what you're doing is, through the practice, you're arousing it, you're shaking it up by practice. Just doing it once, it won't happen. It needs to be done properly, it needs to be done systematically, correct? And you reach a stage finally from this practice, then it becomes spontaneous. So that is what Krishna consciousness is, right? And there are basically 4 main activities of how you do association, sevanam. Association means service. All of us are serving. We are serving our own selves, we are serving our family, we are serving the society, we are serving communities, we are serving the country, the place where we work. Service. The soul, remember, it is active, it can't stay dull, it has to be serving. Service is the medium through which whatever are the wants and desires can be fulfilled. So association. Now whom do you associate? Associate people who are on the same path, because association makes a great big difference and influence on our consciousness of who we are. Correct? Association offers you, so this is called Vaishnava association. Vaishnava is nothing but a bhakta or devotee. Guidance, influence and perseverance. This is what Sevanam does. Then you have books, which is the Shravanam, is the listening part. Books give you knowledge. You understand the way things are. Okay, Sambandha. Books will also help you develop that connection. Currently, we have turned our back from Krishna. Our original position is we are facing Krishna, and there's this relationship of love, the give and take. All the activities, thoughts, words, deeds are perfectly aligned, correct? And there's this relationship of love. Then we say, why is it that I should be serving him? Others should serve me, we turn our face. Okay, so Krishna says, fine, here's the material world. And then we are trying to be little Krishnas. We are trying to be the controller. We are trying to be the enjoyer and everything else. Correct? So that connection is kind of lost. Something like your Wi-Fi signal, you go out of range. Okay, you don't get your Wi-Fi. Of course, Krishna is always there. Wi-Fi is only in a certain limited place. Krishna is unlimited. He's always there, but it's just a consciousness that we've turned away from him. So when you read the books, that connection is kind of re-established. Correct? And the faith, it builds up faith. You're not just doing it blindly. Bhagavad Gita, the final instruction, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja, mam ekam sharanam vraja, aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion. Simply surrender unto me. I will protect you, I will deliver you from all whatever have been your sinful reactions. Not just this birth, millions and countless births. Correct? Now, how do you know what Krishna is saying is true? How do you know whatever is in the Bhagavad Gita is true and not just figment of imagination? How do you know it? When you read these books, when you read the scriptures, when you read the Shastra, correct? Again, Shastra, as from whom? Bhagavad Gita, if you see the title as it is, Krishna himself has spoken, and the explanations of the Acharyas, they are not putting their own mental concoction. So that builds up the faith. Faith is that power which helps you see the unseen. what our own limitations are there. Physical limitation, mental limitation. It can only do that much. But there is things which are even beyond. So that is faith which helps you see beyond. Correct? And that comes through books. Then you have chanting, known as kirtanam. Chanting can be done like what Manish and his family were doing, Prabhu, so nicely. That is kirtanam. Kirtanam is the chanting with the congregation. Correct? And it would be with musical instruments and melody and so on and so forth. Okay? Kirti means glorification. You're glorifying the Lord. Okay? And it could also be japa. The japa is simple. 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just these words itself, there's nothing else you need to do. Just these 16 words, said in all sincerity, said in all with feelings, not mechanically. Even if it's said mechanically, it does have some little effect. But when it is said sincerely, when it is said with feelings, when it is personalized, it has tremendous power to reconnect. Correct? So what chanting does is, it revives. It's a revival process. Correct? It's purificatory. What is it purifying? It's purifying the consciousness, that mistaken identity. I want to be a little Ishvara. I want to be a little controller. Okay, it tells you who you are. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnara Nityadasa. The constitutional position of the Jiva soul is he's eternal in service of Krishna. And then that attachment comes. Right? So there is the connection, and once the connection is there, there is the attachment. Attachment, look at it as the connection is drawing you closer. Okay? Then the other one is, the process is deity worship and your diet. So you see A, B, C, D. A for association, B for books, C for chanting, D for diet / deity, archana. Okay, what happens with deity? Correct? When you do the deity worship, correct? The personal conception of who God is, who Krishna is. Krishna can be realized in 3 aspects. One is the Brahman, his effulgence, his all-pervading existence where he's everywhere, including in the atom. He's present, correct? Krishna, there's no time-space anywhere, material, spiritual world where Krishna doesn't exist. You and I exist a localized presence in this particular, right now I'm sitting here in this room, in Edison, in New Jersey, in USA. I have a certain lat and long, correct? You are sitting where you are situated. But that's the case with us jivas because we are limited. But that's not with Krishna. Krishna is unlimited. If there's any limitation, he wouldn't be God. One of the definition of God is he's unlimited in every aspect. So where you have the deity, correct? That form is such that the jiva can establish. Currently we can't see Krishna. I'm talking to you, right? It's going to my Wi-Fi, the video and the audio, it's going to my Wi-Fi, and through the Wi-Fi it's going to the internet. In the ether world it is passing through, correct? Then it comes through your Wi-Fi and it's getting the signal is getting decoded, and now you're able to see me and you're able to hear me. You have a specific device, you have a specific gadget, you have the Wi-Fi, you have the router, you have your laptop, you have your phone, correct? These are the gadgets. In the absence of it, it still would be there, the signals would be there, those radio signals, the ultra high frequency signals, you won't be able to see it, correct? These wireless signals, you won't be able to see what it is. You need a gadget, so it codes and it decodes. So similarly, the deity is like the device so that we human beings with our limited consciousness, with all our faults, with all our limitations, okay, Krishna, God in his mercy comes in that form, so that is Sakshat Bhagwan. It is not stone, it is not wood, it is not marble, it is not metal. It is Sakshat Bhagwan. So that we can engage in some kind of service and have reciprocation. Now, to the extent with which we do the service, instead of mechanically, but you do it with feelings, to that extent you would be able to have a realization that this is Sakshat Bhagwan. Otherwise, these are just words which are falling in our ears. Yeah, maybe true, may not be true. Or it is just a sentiment. But you can actually have this, and there are opportunities. How this comes, you associate with devotees. Devotees will give you hundreds of opportunities, thousands of opportunities to engage in seva. And seva is not just with deity, seva is, it's a very big universe, seva. Even just thinking of Krishna as seva, talking of Krishna as seva. You're eating food, you offered bhoga, you're eating prasadam, that is seva. So that comes to prasadam, what we eat. You are what you eat, correct? You are what you eat. Jaise man, vaise vichar. Okay. I was talking to my mom now with COVID, I talk to almost every day. And she has deep realizations. She also incidentally is my god sister. And she was talking about Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak was a great saint, the founder Acharya of Sikhism, right? And Guru Nanak had what they say doha. Doha is sayings which are basically two lines. And it is in Punjabi, Je rakt lage kapad, jama hoy palit, te rakt piye manas, nirmal ka uchit. What this means is that if there are blood stains on a piece of cloth, it looks very ugly, it looks very ghastly. So you see, if there are blood on some cloth, it looks very disturbing. So if you eat meat, how can your consciousness be pure? This is what Guru Nanak Sahib has said, correct? So diet is very important. So definitely when we talk about eating, you need to eat to live. But that meat, correct? Eating meat has a tremendous impact, not just on the physical body, but also on the subtle and the consciousness. It's like Guru Nanak says, is like cheetah of blood on the consciousness. Now, of course, we don't know it. 90% I would say, or majority of the world is meat eater. Today it is slowly moving towards vegetarianism because of health reasons, the body reasons. They have done scientifically, they have shown that eating meat is not good for the human body because the human body, the constitution is created in such a way that it is a herbivore. Our teeth are short and blunt. Our saliva is alkali. Our digestive tract is long, it's about 15 to 20 feet. Intestines, correct? Whereas a carnivore like a tiger, they have sharp, long canines, right? They have acidic saliva, it breaks down the meat. Their digestive tract is about 2 to 3, 4 feet. Why? Because meat decays more rapidly. You take a flesh piece of meat, put it on the table counter, you take a apple and put it, which will rot earlier, the meat. When it rots inside the human large digestive system, it can't break up. It starts releasing all these toxins. And you are what you eat. So not only are there physical effect on the body, all these toxins which are released, but also on the consciousness. Meat eaters tend to be more aggressive. It removes the compassion, gets bereft. It tends to do that. So what happens? It detoxifies you when you have the diet. The diet is bhoga. Even vegetarianism, even if you're eating vegetarian, it's still a sin. Why? Because everything is Krishna's. I'm feeling very hungry. I come to your house, open your fridge and start eating. Is that okay? You don't know. Is it okay? It's not mine. I have a reason. I'm hungry. I need to fill my belly, but I've come into your house, I've opened your fridge and started eating. Just as much as I want, what I want. No. That's still going against the way how nature is. Similarly, God is the proprietor of everything. Krishna is the proprietor of everything. The chawal, gehu, sabzi, phal, everything is his. If it is yours, you would be having total control over it. You would be able to say, grow. You will say, okay, I have the money. I have given the money and I have purchased it. Yes, you have purchased it, but it's still not yours. If it is yours, you have full control over it. And if you have full control over it, you will tell the apple, you will never rot till I eat you. So, Krishna is the controller. So what you do is you need to eat. Life depends on life. Herbivores depend on plants. Carnivores depend on other life forms, flesh. So as a herbivore, we need to eat to live. So yes, Krishna has provided all this for everyone, from the elephant and the whales to a small little ant. He has provided everything. Just as an acknowledgement that thank you, he is the Father. Thank you. I appreciate, I'm very grateful for what you have given. That consciousness, that rousing of the consciousness. When you do that, then there is no karma attached to the food that we eat. We are not eating sin. So vegetarianism is like burglary. It's a crime. And meat eating is like a more serious crime like assault and murder. So the consequences are worse. But in both cases, the consequences are there, and consequences in the form of karma, which is birth and rebirth. So this is what ABCD does. Okay, and once you're able to do the ABCD, you'll be able to control yourself gradually. It won't happen overnight. Then let's understand what is leadership. Yare dekhe tara kaho, Krishna Upadesh. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, incarnation of Krishna who came about 440-50 years ago, correct? He has said that whomever you see, give him or her the message of Krishna. Yare dekha tare kaha, Krishna Upadesh. These are the 6 Goswamis, right? The 6 Goswamis, they are the ones, okay, the Guru Parampara system. They have explained in detail what is bhakti. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. So they have the subject matter, it's sublime. They have deconstructed it so that someone with a disturbed consciousness or with a material consciousness is able to understand something which is very sublime. So what does a leader do? Correct? He has vichar. Vichar is the thinking process, correct? His thoughts, and it's visionary. It's not just currently what you're caught up with. It's beyond. And it's not beyond this life, it goes beyond the cycle of birth and death. That vichar, okay, visionary. Even in our material world, we see visionary. Visionary is seeing things which hasn't happened as yet. You can see beyond, okay? So the vichar. Then the leader would have prachar. What he speaks, okay, the words. What is he speaking? Okay, those words should be able to reveal things. We all have gone through school. Our first teacher was our parents, correct? We learned how to speak with our parents. We learned how to stand, how to walk, how to run, how to sit, how to do personal hygiene. Everything was taught to us. How was it taught to us? Both by example and by words. Okay, so it reveals the nature of things, the vichar, the prachar, correct? And finally is the achar. Achar is behavior, actions. From that the word comes acharya, who teaches by his personal example. It's not that, okay, do this, and I myself am sitting in the background. No, it is how I do it. If I am able to tell you something, I myself have done it first before. And I know how to do it. I understand what are the difficulties. I know what to do, what not to do. So the vichar, prachar, and the achar. And these deeds become inspirational. So of course the words are important, the thoughts are important. And then finally the deeds. They have the saying, actions speak louder than words. That person becomes a leader. Now, usually in the material world, the leader comes hand in hand with a sense of arrogance and might. Oh, I'm a team leader, I'm a supervisor, I'm a project manager, I'm the director, I'm a vice president, I'm a president, I'm a CEO, I'm this, I'm that, and that. And along with it, all the power, authority, and responsibilities that come with it. It kind of goes to the head. But there is this term called the servant leader. Servant leader is always in the mood of service. When we say servant, the immediate connotation is, ye kamwala hai, ye bai hai, it is something lower grade or no. No, but in the area of bhakti, in spirituality, servant is the highest position. Highest. So much so that Krishna himself becomes the servant of his servant. Few days back, I'll give you an example, and this is a realization I had. I was sharing it with Madhupati. So I told Prabhuji, we had gone to the temple to do little cleaning because Lord Nityanand's appearance is coming next week. So we were cleaning the temple hall. You know what you do, the sweeping and the pocha, with the wet thing, cleaning that. Someone was cleaning Prabhupada's asam, and Krishnanam Prabhu, he climbed on top of the altar. So you see the altar, and on top of the altar they have those domes, the shikhar, correct? He climbed on top of the altar, and his service was to clean, because Saturdays Simeshwar Prabhu does the Narsingha Yagya, right? For it's a prayer to Lord Narsingha to protect mankind from COVID. Paradukha Dukhi. That's what a Vaishnav does. It's not just for devotees, praying for the yagyas done for the entire mankind. So when there is yagya and it's a closed environment, the temple room, that soot little bit flies, and over a period of time it collects. So Krishnanam was cleaning that thing, and I was downstairs cleaning the floor, and I looked and I saw him on top over there, and I had this realization: look at Krishna. Krishna, who's the master of everything, has given the opportunity where his devotee has gone and climbed on top. And that is what I had this feeling, that Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He loves his devotee so much. And in Hindi there is a saying, इतना लाड प्यार करके रखा है उसे कि वो उसको अपने सर पे बैठाते हैं. And literally I saw this. Krishna Naam is right on top of Krishna has a peacock in his head. He always wears it because the peacock pleased him so much. They danced for his pleasure. He had so much pleasure, and the king of peacock says, what can I can offer only this. He took it and he put it on his head. Head is the highest position of the body, correct? He put it on his head, and here Krishna Naam had climbed right on top. But what is the devotee's mood? So look up a little bit more. If you come to a temple, you see on top of Krishna Naam's head is Mahaprabhu, the Panchatattva, dancing. So a devotee's mood is, I'm always under the feet of my dear Lord. And Krishna's mood is, he'll always take the devotee and elevate him to the highest status. So the servant leader is a person who is always in the mood of serving. He's always serving. And he has humility, compassion, and tolerance. These three are the three driving forces of a servant leader. Otherwise, he's just a leader. So that is what a leader is. And once you do that, you'd be able to inspire yourself and inspire others. Finally, this is the last slide before we bring this to a close and open it to a question answers. This is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj. Okay, he is one of the acharyas in our Guru Parampara system. Those in ISKCON would be familiar, those who aren't. He is one of the acharyas, correct? He has written many books and he has explained the subject matter of bhakti through his personal example. He was a magistrate, he was a grasta. He was a magistrate in the British government, did a lot for Vaishnavism, wrote several books, did a lot of research, explained bhakti, subject matter expert. He is the father, incidentally, also of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, another acharya, who is the Guru Maharaj of Srila Prabhupada. So he is Srila Prabhupada's great-great-grandfather. You can consider in the spiritual line. He said something, I read about it, and it really is very, very relevant to the COVID scenario that we have right now. In his time, I think 1850 or 1874, like 100 years ago, 150, there was the bubonic plague, and it is very serious, like how COVID is, and it was killing hundreds and millions of people. Naturally, there is fear, sabko apni jaan pyari hoti hai, right? Everyone's life is dear to him. So he had a very simple instruction about this. Fearing this plague is the mentality of a non-Vaishnava. Look, brothers, what can this plague do to you? What real harm can the plague do by ending this useless life? If you desire some benefit, learn a lesson from the plague. If you're caught by the plague, then your life is over. Imagine where your wealth and happiness will go. Therefore, without wasting your time uselessly, constantly and sincerely chant Harinam with devotion. Then billions of plagues cannot do anything to you. It's an article he wrote, and this is the summary of the article. What it means is your mentality. What it means is your consciousness. Correct? If your consciousness is I, me, myself, then it's a very frightening situation. These plagues will come and go. In our own lifetime, there was that SARS, avian flu, Ebola, and of course, science and technology has tremendously progressed to mitigate that risk, but that risk still remains. That risk still remains. So we all caught up in the circle of life and death. Today, COVID is a new thing. Tomorrow, now we have a variant. Then, day after tomorrow, there'll be something new which comes up. So there's always this uncertainty. Like I said, COVID can attack a karmi, COVID can attack a devotee equally. But your reaction, it's not debilitating. Then all, no matter what you have earned, whatever you've done, if it's all karmic related, you will die. Everyone dies. There's nobody who'll stay away alive forever. This body took birth, it has to die. But the question is, do you want to be born again? And then again experience this fear and uncertainty. Today COVID, tomorrow something else? Or do you want to use this opportunity, this intellect, this highest intellect that man has, and use it to say, what else? Who am I? What can I do? So when you get into the sadhana bhakti stage, all these questions are answered, and you see things which are beyond this lifespan. And you could have an eternal life. Why? Because Sat, we are eternal. We are Chit, aware. No uncertainty. 100% sure, confidence. We are Ananda. Ever increasing bliss. So this is what it is. Srila Bhakti Thakur, Vinod Thakur Maharaj ki jai. I'll do a quick time check. Oh, my time is already over. So I wanted to do a small bhajan of 2-3 minutes. Simeshwar Prabhu, if that is okay with you, or we can do the question answers or whatever you decide.
It's fine. The bhajan is fine.
Okay, thank you. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was a great poet, and he had written many bhajan. So this one bhajan I'll sing. Those of you who know it, you could please sing with me. Can you see my screen? Jiva Jago, that's the screen I'm sharing.
No.
No, we don't see
No,
the
Prabhuji, we can't
Okay.
see it.
Let me bring it up. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this, we'll sing the bhajan and the translation, and it's very relevant to COVID. It's very relevant to this class that we just did, the presentation. Okay. Jiva jago, Gaura Chan bole.
Jeeva
Jago,
Jiva jago, Gaura Chanda bole.
कोट निद्रा जाओ माया पिशाचिरा कोले जाओ माया पिशाचरा
Kole.
भाजी भो बोलिया एशे संसारा भीतरे भाजी भूलिया रोहिले तुमी अविद्यारा भारे
Avidyara bhare.
তোমারে লই তো আমি হইনু অবতারা
Tumhare loite ami hoino avatara.
আমি বিনা বন্ধুয়ারা কে আছে তোমারা
আমি
আমি
বিনা
বিনা
বন্ধু
বন্ধু
আর
আরে
কে
আরে
আছে
কে আছে
তোমার?
তোমারা
এনেছি ঔষধি মায়া নাশিবারো লাগি
এনেছি ঔষধি মায়া নাসিবার লাগি
হরিনামা মহামন্ত্র লাও তুমি মাগি
হরিনাম
হরিনাম
মহামন্ত্র
মহামন্ত্র লাও তুমি মাগি
भक्ति विनोद प्रभु चरणे परिया
भक्ति विनोद प्रभु चरणे परिया
तै हरि नाम मंत्र लोइल मागिया
हरि नाम किलो मागिया
श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसति गौरा भक्त वृंदा
कृष्ण
चैतन्य
चैतन्य प्रभु
गौर
श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्त वृंदा श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंदा
गौरा भक्त
भक्तवृंदा
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे loudly हरे
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण
हरे हरे
हरे
Hare
राम
Rama,
हरे
Hare
राम
Rama,
राम राम हरे
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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Rama,
राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Hare
Rama,
राम
Hare
हरे
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
हरे
Hare
हरे
निधाय गौरा हरि बोल निधाय गौरा हरि बोल
निताय
निताय
गौर
गौर
Hare
हरि
Rama,
बोल हरि
Hare
बोल
Rama,
गौर हरि
हरि हरि
जय
बोल
जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada,
प्रभुपाद जय जय
Jaya Prabhupada.
प्रभुपाद
निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी
हरि
हरि
बोल
हरि बोल
Thank you, Prabhu's Mataji. That was so sweet of you. And that's so simple. That's all you have to do. Just sing Hare Krishna. What difficulty is there? Of course, all of us over here, it is fun. Everyone sang together. Okay. Even you could sing it alone. If you're in the train, you're at place of work, wherever you're going, you have some time, just chant. In your mind, you could be saying this. You could be doing japa Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. That is Krishna consciousness. So let's look at this translation. This is the final thing. And then we can open it to question answers if there's time. Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up sleeping souls, wake up sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of this witch called Maya? Remember, Prabhupada says arousing. कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस इज दैट प्रोसेस ऑफ अराउजिंग माँ बेटे को उठा रही है उठ बेटा उठ लेट हो गया स्कूल के लिए सिमिलरली इट इज वी आर ऑल बीन स्लीपिंग correct our consciousness has been asleep sleeping in the lap of this witch called Maya. Wake up sleeping souls, wake up sleeping souls. You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. Krishna is telling, I have descended. He has come, Dasha avatars, and many times he has come, most recently as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Correct? He has descended even in form of his name. Harinam Prabhu, Nama Prabhu. He has come in his name. So when you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, it is not just sound. It is not just the vibration of the air. It's not that. It is Sakshat Krishna himself. It is Radharani and Krishna encapsulated in that sound. Just as I mentioned to you, the deities are Sakshat Bhagwan. This Mahamantra himself is Krishna and he has all the potencies. So much so, the Mahamantra is even more merciful than what Krishna's personal form is. Swayam Bhagwan, it's more merciful. Why? Because with the Swayam Bhagwan, when there's deity worship and other archanam, there are certain rules and regulations that you need to do. You need to be in a clean condition physically. Correct? You do Achman before you're offering anything, so and so forth. Correct? Here there is no consideration, no rules, regulations. You could be chanting it even in the toilet. Mahamantra, so merciful it is. That Mahamantra, Krishna himself in his form of his name, is so merciful, he doesn't look for anything, no consideration. However, to actually have the effect and that realization and to awaken, all that is required little bit of sincerity and say it with feelings. It may not happen overnight, just do it with practice, it will automatically come. So I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Take this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, I fall at the Lord's feet having taken this Mahamantra. So this is the entire essence of 3.25 based on whatever is my little bit of realization I have presented to you. So if you have any questions, any comment, suggestion, this is our dear Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol. Dandvat all Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class, wonderful lecture. Prabhuji, I want to, in your examples of incarceration versus the liberation, you gave us a wonderful example, and what is when it's I versus Krishna consciousness, and we touched upon ABCD. So the deity worship, the Archanam. How can I get? I mean, you were giving examples, which I thought I got most part, which is you were giving examples like how a Wi-Fi be connected to the device, and from there into it just goes through the waves, and you pick it up in your localized version. My question to you is, in order for me to deep dive or learn more about deity worship, what is a good So what is a good source or something you can recommend for reading? Which book or anything?
What I would say the best way, and I can tell you my example of deity worship. I don't know if you have deities at home, or
I
even
do.
if you have a picture in the house, correct? If you have deities in the house, we could begin by worshipping the deities. Now, there are certain books which are available. You could go to iskondesiretree.com. They have a lot of resources. Uh, ISKCON Desire Tree. But what I find to be more effective is once we get doing that, that will just give you, you need to understand the basics. But the best way to do is, get into this association. Uh, like, there is seva opportunities in the temple, which is
Okay.
again, that's the Archa Vigraha, correct? Now, for that, there are certain requirements, if you're going to do cooking for the deity, if you're personally going to cook, then you need to have the Diksha, the Brahman Diksha initiation. But even if you're not initiated, you could help in cutting the vegetables, like a sous chef. You could help in cleaning the vessels, correct? There are so many activities associated with the deity. Okay, you could help in getting the vegetables. You could help in so many other ways are there. So once that thing happens, the practical, so there is the theoretical and the practical. For theoretical, you'll get your resources at ISKCON Desire Tree, but the practical aspect is your local temple. Of course, today is COVID, so there are certain restrictions which are there. But even if the person is not, taken Diksha or the Brahman Diksha, even for that person, there are opportunities to do DT service. And when that DT service you engage in, all these bhavana जो बोलते हैं, the
Right.
uh,
Yeah. That
feeling,
exactly.
huh? That
Right.
feeling it just happens, Prabhu. And no book can describe, because what it is personal to you. The book will give
That
you
is.
knowledge, but that feeling you have is personal. And that personal it will never go. Knowledge you'll forget with time. Okay? That what has felt. So it's a wonderful way to do DT service. Ghar mein bhi, you'll feel if you're doing it regularly, if you do it systematically, even without feelings, if it just happens ritualistically, what they talk about, even done ritualistically, but done systematically, methodically, gradually attachment is formed. Then even if you go out and you're held up at work, you'll have a sense of unease, like, Arey yaar, I haven't, my DT's bhoga time has happened. Just like when you keep your child at home,
Right.
correct? When you're caught up with an important work, your mind will be on the child. Arey, I have to get, I have to make arrangements. Either someone will come or take care, or my friend, or my cousin, or someone will take care of that child. So then that doesn't become metal, it doesn't become wood, it doesn't become a photograph, it becomes a person. And that's how that reciprocations happen. And when that reciprocations happen, the realizations, the knowledge, that gyan, vigyan, that's how Krishna reciprocates with us. So it is not something ritualistically. Sadly, over a period of time, people don't know the essence. And my father used to ring the ghanti and bow his feet down. So when I'm doing ghanti and I show my respect, which is fine, which is okay. तो आप अगर DT सर्विस करना चाहते हो, पुनीत प्रभु, excellent, you're doing in your house, excellent. You want to take it to the next level, you need to have knowledge is important. Check out these resources at ISKCON Desire Tree. They give fully. And then after that also try and engage with uh, the temple DT. The Pran Pratishta DT. Very powerful.
Right.
Does that answer?
Yes,
Uh,
probably. I was just touching upon the personalization. How I can get closer, and it's just like you said. Doing the bell and offering the bhoga is fine. It's good, but it's just more getting closer, and what is the bhava, and just trying to get more. Uh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. The very fact you have this desire, Prabhu, wanting to get close, ask yourself, कैसे आया मेरे में ये भाव? How did this come about? Ask yourself these questions. You will realize that in one of these four quadrants,
Yeah.
one or more, it will come to that. So when you're chanting automatically, these desires just happen. Initially, of course, thoda time lagta hai. But the very fact you have this desire, is a benchmark. We spoke about progress, right? How do I know I'm progressing in sadhana bhakti? When that lolium, soon you'll have this greed. That greed will develop. What I'm doing is not enough. I want to do more. Earlier, what we think, अरे यार 16 round कर दिया हो गया मेरा, हाँ relief. I think Simeshwar Prabhu, Hema Jagannath Prabhu was saying, what is the purpose of chanting? To chant more. Currently, it is as a practice. But once that taste develops, we won't feel like putting the beat down. You'll just be chanting Kirtaniya Sadahari non-stop. It will happen. So you have a desire, it's very good. It's an achievement in the sense that it's a benchmark. That desire has been created. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Simeshwar Prabhu, would you want to add to this? You're, of course, you have deep realizations, practical knowledge.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, deity worship is the main thing is actually our devotion, because of when we have the deity at home, it is non-different from Krishna. In a real spiritual, we worship Krishna in such a mood. We should definitely worship with that. Krishna is non-different. So our bhava should be like that, because of he is present. In one sense, yes, I mean, Krishna's name is Krishna himself. Krishna's Archa Vigraha is non-different, Krishna himself. Paraphernalia is also Krishna's potency. Everything is in that way. So in real sense, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that in real sense, also into the deity worship. That's why we chant before we enter into the altar in the deity worship. The real devotees, in the sense that they fully chant their the rounds of mantra, Maha Mantra. So then it's a different feeling when we go into the altar. And also it is recommended, it is mentioned that, of course, those who are Brahman initiated, they do their Gayatri before they enter into the altar. And they completely, fully do the Achaman. They do the full Achaman before they enter into the altar. And there is also Abharat. I was hearing today morning about the Harinam Chindamani. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is giving the Abharat, Seva Abharat, and the Murti Abharat. There are 32 Seva Abharat. There are 32 Murti Abharat. So we should follow that. We should have those details. So when we have those, then we would definitely really feel that the presence of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada goes to the temple, in far distance itself, Srila Prabhupada could understand that the deity is happy or not. And some temples, Srila Prabhupada goes and see that the deity is not happy there. Some temples, Srila Prabhupada goes, is very happy. And then they call Srila Prabhupada called this, the president. So similarly, there is no much difference between the deity in the temple and the deity in the home. It's the same personality. Yes, the difference is one is the prana pratishta, another is actually we welcome the deity. So the both are same. That's Krishna is not different. Okay, so we say, okay, temple, it's deity is prana pratishta. Yes, temple may have more rules and regulations because of its, that's the way it is. So when everything should be pakka. But in home, there is a little lenience and liberal, that yes, there may be sometimes we may not be on up to that the time, or we may not be able to fulfill, but that's okay. But the mood should be there. Suppose if we go somewhere and the deity is at the home and didn't have anything to, so we should have that feeling in our heart that deity is not having anything, I am having. So we should offer in our mind. And deities are at home. They are actually coming to our home to receive our service, mainly. So if any deity is at home, it's not ordinary, because of it's Krishna's, by the will of the Krishna, the deities are, manifested in our home. Sometimes we feel that, oh, because of me, that I brought it from here, I brought it from there, I brought it from here. No, that's our, that's not the real mood of serving the deity. Deity at home, because of the deity, the Krishna decided to come to receive the service from us. Then the main thing is that when somebody comes to our home as a guest, then if we don't take care of that guest, it's an offense to guest. Guest will, curse us. So it's like that when the deities are at home, that we deities are desired to come, and we had a desire, so that desire also, Krishna put that impetus. Krishna put that desire in our heart, so that Krishna is now came our home to receive the service. So we should be very sincere, and we should have that mood that Krishna is at home. So that's where we bring that Krishna at the center of our heart. Krishna is the center of our home. Everything should be around Krishna. And the main thing is that Krishna deity should not be neglected. Neglected at any point of time. That means if we are agreed, we take a vow, when we welcome the deity, we take a vow that at least once in a day we offer the bhoga to the supreme, the deities. At least once in a day we offer the flowers or whatever the paraphernalia. But the main thing is that at least once in a day we offer the bhoga to the supreme. With that rapt attention and that sincerity and that full devotion. And it's very clear that we can see that when we go into the altar and when we are outside of the altar, it's a complete consciousness change. And it's yeah, I mean, there are a lot to say like that, and there are a lot of aparadhas also there, and we should be aware of those. And we should never neglect the deities, and we should have love. We should, I mean, the deities are coming home to receive the service as well as so we establish a relationship. In our deity, we may say Radha Shamsundar, Radha Madhav, Radha Madan Mohan. So this is not that we are just simply saying, because we have a deep attachment to the deity. Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Shamsundar, Radha Madhav. We have a deep attachment to the deities. And on the festival days, those who have the deities at home, they should observe the festival days. Ekadashi, they should observe. And deities should, even before we get into the altar, these are the 32 aparadhas. I'm just putting the few of it. We should make a sound, either ringing the bell or make a noise before we enter into the altar. So then it should be very humble, and that I am the servant, not directly for the Lord, but I am the servant of my spiritual master. And I'm serving my spiritual master. So spiritual master will be there in all our consciousness that when I do the service to the deity. So like that, there are a lot of things. And the main thing is actually our sincere love for the deity. So that means when we love our beloved, our dear ones, we should take care of them very nicely when we have the love for them. If we don't have the love for them, we don't take care. I mean, we just, there is neglect, there are a lot of things. So the most lovable person in our home must be the deity, the Lord Krishna. These are the bhava level, these are the, sadhana, and then these are the bhava level. So sometimes it says that even into the prema level, one never leaves the deity worship. Because of this is the direct, we establish the direct service and direct relationship with the Supreme. So there are, just putting some. Yeah, we can talk, Puneet Proji, in person if you have.
Sure, Ravi.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much.
I just looked at the participant and I see my older brother, my cousin Pradeep Divgikar has joined from India. And looking at him, I was reminded of one of these quotes. He always sends inspiration quotes. And one of the quotes which he sent very recently, and it's very relevant to the topic we're discussing today, is a candle without flame. A candle without flame is like a human life without spirituality. Means something like that. So a human life without spirituality is like a candle without flame. And I thought that was so deep. The candle, what is the purpose of a candle? To light a flame and then spread light around. Similarly, the human life is meant for spirituality, and that spirituality can spread that light, Divya Gyan, around, which is, when you awaken that light, it spreads and inspires others.
There is one more way that the candle, Srila Prabhupada put that so nicely, it was so touching. Candle, when it's lights, it gives the lights and knowledge, and it's for others. The candle is standing there itself, is burning itself for others. And for that spirituality, when we put that light and the devotion and everything for the service of Krishna, it burns itself. That means all the karma, all the body, all the gross and subtle, everything burns itself. With that, that's what it is. The gross and subtle gives the energy, and that our activities, daily chores, and all those things. So then what happens? It burns itself, all this gross and subtle, and it gives the light and it gives the pleasure to the Supreme, and completely then leaves that gross and subtle. The candle is compared like that. It's so nice.
Wonderful. So it's 9:30, but anyway, today is a weekend and holiday. So I don't know whether any other question or we can bring it to a close. Whatever you all decide.
Anybody has anything to add? Wonderful. Okay, so then there is nothing else, then we can conclude. Is that okay? Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank
Vancha
Jai.
kalpatarubhasya.
Yasya Kripa Sindhubhya
Jai Patitanam
Patidanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Namaha
Vaishnavrinda ki
Vaishnavavrinda
jai.
ki
Jai.
jai.
Satsangaki Bhagavad
Jai
Gita ki
Maharaj.
jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande.
Hari.
Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amritanand Prabhuji. Hare Bol.
Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Doctor.
Amritananda.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Wonderful class. Thank you so much. Very
Jai
nice.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji. It was so nice, so wonderful, so profound.
Thank you for engaging me.
Very nice.
Hari Bol.
Very well, Jai. Very